Today I'm going to summarize each of the 7 most watched videos of 2019 on this channel. I want to know which is your favorite one. That's starting right now. Hi, I'm Roy Smith. In Dispatch on Tuesday night, I ask you to identify your favorite video uploaded to this channel in 2019. I ask you to do this because I want to provide you more of your favorite content in 2020. Remember, we share the hobby of model railroading on this channel. I urge you to subscribe if you haven't done it yet, and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. I upload a weekly variety show for model railroaders called Dispatch on Tuesday nights, and layout updates on Saturday mornings. To help you select your favorite video of 2019, I'm going to show you brief clips from each of the 7 in the same order that I uploaded them during the year. After watching the clips, I hope you will go down to the comments section and tell me which one of the videos is your favorite one. The 7 videos are contained in a playlist on this channel. I will put a link to the playlist down below so that you can watch any or all of them in their entirety if you would like to. Now, if your favorite video isn't one of the 7, then you might be able to find your favorite one on my videos page. I will put a link to the videos page down below. Again, I'm asking you to tell me which is your favorite one so that I can bring you similar ones during 2020. With that, here's a brief summary of each of the 7 videos. How did we get from this to this? That's what we're going to talk about in today's episode. Hi, I'm Roy Smith. In today's episode, I want to tell you how I went about creating Echo Canyon on my N-scale layout. You may recall that it took me 15 episodes in this channel to create the canyon. And now you see it in its current form beside me right here. From the get-go, I wanted to replicate the prototype, which is located in northeastern Utah, as closely as I could in my very limited space. I wanted to capture the feel of the 25-mile-long canyon. Union Pacific tracks run through the canyon as part of the UP's Evanston subdivision, which stretches 175 miles from Green River, Wyoming to Ogden, Utah. The fact is, it was Echo Canyon that brought me back to model railroading 5 years ago. I had been out of the hobby for nearly 30 years, since the mid-1980s. What happened was this. Back in 2014, I accidentally stumbled upon some photos of Echo Canyon on the internet, and that's all it took to bring me back to the hobby. So, let me show you how I created Echo Canyon in those 15 episodes. There's some big changes coming to my track plan on the layout. Today I'm going to tell you about those changes and why I want to make them. That's coming up right now. Hi, I'm Roy Smith. Today I'm going to show you the changes that I want to make to my track plan. I'm going to explain why I believe these changes will give me a better layout that is more fun to operate. And here are those changes. The tracks shown in red depict changes or additions to the current track plan. I need to explain each of these changes for them to make any sense. Using Cato Unitrack or any other sectional track makes the process of changing the track much easier compared to flex track. In the past, the yard at Pocatello came to an abrupt end at the door to the room, and as a staging yard, that was okay. But the change indicated by the arrow is much more prototypical because trains from Pocatello will now be able to continue westward and then down the outer track of the helix to staging tracks representing Portland, Oregon. The disadvantage here is that I must put a lift-up or drop-down bridge indicated by the green lines, because this is the entrance to the train room. The changes will double the number of off-layout destinations I have from 2 to 4. This addition of more off-layout destinations is very important to operations on my layout, and I'm very excited about it because my layout is essentially a bridge route. On my layout, trains originate at off-layout locations in staging, climb the helices to appear on the upper level of the layout, cross the upper level, and then disappear down at the opposite helix to off-layout destinations in staging. This replicates the movement of trains in the real world. I hope you will come along as I make these changes in upcoming episodes. Do remember something important though. A track plan is just a guide. It is possible to make changes to the plan as we go along. Today I'm continuing to work on the bridge that will carry tracks across the entrance to my train room. That's starting right now. Hi, I'm Roy Smith. The bridge must be built on a curve in a corner of the room, and for that reason will be more difficult to construct than, say, normal bridges that extend straight across a room entrance. In last week's video, I also explained that I am constructing this bridge as the first step in a series of big track plan changes. These changes will significantly modify the way trains operate on my layout. Let me show you the progress I've made in doing this since last Saturday. I am removing the existing track on the upper level of the helix. The track here will be reconfigured, as you will see in a moment. I hesitate when doing remodeling like this because either it will lead to a big improvement in my layout or it will end up being the greatest catastrophe in the history of model railroading. Each level of the helix has drop feeders. I have to cut off the feeder terminals that connect to the track and remove the wires. Now I'm pulling the feeders down through the benchwork, and I'm disconnecting them from the terminal barrier strips under the layout. Using barrier strips like these is my favorite way to connect drop feeders to the bus wires. Everything stays neat and well organized, and it's much easier to troubleshoot later on if necessary. That brings us to where we are right now on this project. Obviously, the pink foam is very, very sturdy. It will remain here as the top layer of sub-roadbed on the bridge. I will support it with a thin layer of plywood, perhaps 1/4 of an inch thick, and of course the regular benchwork under that. Now let me show you the track configuration on the bridge. Here's a satellite view of the track configuration. Well, that wraps up this week's layout update. I expect to complete the benchwork for the bridge prior to next week's episode. Today I want you to come along with me to visit layouts belonging to 3 railroad friends of mine. It's going to be fun, and it's happening right now. Hi, I'm Roy Smith. We model railroaders love to visit layouts built and operated by our friends in the hobby, don't we? Looking at their layouts gives us ideas for our layouts. It inspires us as we continue to work on our layouts. Perhaps most of all, hanging out with friends in the hobby is just plain fun. Today we are going to take a look at 3 layouts I visited during my recent trip to central Pennsylvania. First up, this is Dick Hawes and his marvelous HO scale layout. Dick's layout fills a space measuring only 7 feet by 11 feet, but it's amazing what he has done in that space. His layout features a double main line and passing sidings for continuous running, a freight yard, and lots of industries to be switched. Most importantly, Dick is having a lot of fun with his layout, and having fun is what the hobby is all about. Next up, Jim Young's layout. This is Jim. You may recall that I did a shout out to Jim's YouTube channel back in February on my Tuesday night show called Dispatch. Well, during my trip, I actually got to visit Jim and see his wonderful N-scale layout up close and firsthand. And I gotta tell you, it's even more amazing when you see it in person. Jim's layout occupies a spare bedroom measuring approximately 11 feet by 12 feet. It's a modern era layout, but that doesn't stop Jim from running older units on his layout just for fun. Gary Leach's home layout was the third one I visited. This is Gary. Gary's layout fills a space measuring 7 feet by 12 feet with a track plan that is positively amazing. Gary has been a friend of mine for a number of years, but this was the first time I've seen the new layout he is currently working on. He uses Cato Unitrack on his layout. He has planted almost 1,500 pine trees on his layout and says he still needs to plant more. All three of these guys, Dick, Jim, and Gary, say their layouts are still a work in progress. That's understandable because most of us have a layout that never seems to get finished. I can tell you that these three guys are all gracious hosts. I enjoyed spending time with them and visiting their layouts. Today we are going to visit the most amazing privately owned N-scale layout that I have ever seen, and it's starting right now. Hi, I'm Roy Smith. As you probably know, I recently returned from a trip to central Pennsylvania where I visited a number of club and home layouts. Todd Treaster's awesome N-scale layout was one of them. This is Todd. He's a very gracious host, always happy to share his time and knowledge with you. Let's begin our tour of Todd's layout here at the city of Pittsburgh. From here, we'll work our way around this immense layout. The layout is based on Conrail's Pittsburgh division, stretching from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to Enola Yard near Harrisburg. It fills the basement in Todd's beautiful home in a space measuring 35 feet by 38 feet. He began to build it in 2004. Here I'm running Todd's big blow turbine, pulling 119 loaded coal cars. Todd typically runs trains that are 100 to 200 cars long. Let's follow this train all the way around the layout. Todd has done an amazing job of recreating central and western Pennsylvania on his layout. This is Enola Yard. The yard can hold the equivalent of 2,500 50-foot boxcars. I'd like to thank Todd for letting me visit him and his layout for a second time. It's tons of fun to share his layout with you in this video, but if you ever have a chance to see his layout for yourself, you certainly should do so. Today we're going to talk about my staging yard, which I consider to be one of the most important features on my layout. Stick around, that's coming right up. Hi, I'm Roy Smith. In this video, I want to tell you why I consider my staging yard to be so important. I also want to describe the benchwork that supports the staging yard and the track arrangement in it. And finally, I want to briefly cover wiring and operations in the staging yard. Of course, by staging, I'm referring to tracks where trains are held until they are ready to come onto the scenic part of the layout. Here's where my staging yard is located on the lower level of the layout. It's directly below Green River, which features my main classification yard. This section of my layout is 12 feet long from corner to corner and 18 inches deep from the fascia to the backdrop. Now, as I said, my staging yard is located under the scenic part of the layout, but it's not hidden. I see no reason why staging yards should be hidden. In fact, the more accessible they are, the better they are. Here's the track plan for the staging yard. To the right on the plan, trains ascend my eastern helix to the scenic part of the layout. To the left, they ascend the western helix. As you can see, the staging yard features 8 double-ended tracks. Of course, empty and loaded coal trains run continuously through the staging yard. As for other freight trains, they arrive, the locomotives uncouple from the head of the train, they do a runaround to the rear of the train, and there they couple up for the return run. In conclusion, I just want to say that staging yards can make model railroad operations more prototypical and more fun. A staging yard will definitely affect the way your layout functions. In dispatch this past Tuesday night, I promised to show you how I do continuous running and point-to-point running on my layout. Well, I'm going to show you how I do it, starting right now. Hi, I'm Roy Smith. For the past few weeks, I've been renovating the Evanston and Granger areas of my layout. Today, I'm setting aside that ongoing renovation long enough to show you how I do both continuous running and point-to-point running on my layout. In order to show you trains running both point-to-point and continuously on my layout, I first have to share my track plan with you. The track plan includes 2 continuous loops, both folded over on themselves. Here's the first of those 2 loops, indicated by the red line. The secret for both continuous running and point-to-point running is the staging yard, which is located below Green River. The staging yard represents everything off layout to the east and to the west of the area I'm modeling. Here you see the second loop indicated by the green line. For point-to-point running, trains stop in staging. The locomotives do a runaround to the other end of the train, and then the train heads back in the direction it just came. For continuous running, trains don't stop in staging, they just keep right on going. Now, let's run some trains so that you can see how this actually works on my layout. This eastbound tank car train departs the staging yard. It climbs the western helix to reach the scenic part of my layout. The train passes through Echo Canyon, which is the best spot for rail fanning, both on the prototype and on my layout. The train now arrives at Evanston and Granger Junction. This is the area of my layout that I have been currently renovating. You've seen me working on it in recent videos. The train is now crossing Green River and in a moment will arrive at the western end of the classification yard in the town of Green River. The train will stop here for a crew change. With a new crew now aboard, the train continues eastbound. The train is now passing White Mountain, which sits atop the eastern helix. The helix takes the train down to staging tracks representing Cheyenne and all points east. The train is now arriving at its destination in staging. The locomotives uncouple and do a runaround to the other end of the train. The locomotives couple up to the other end of the train, and the train begins its return trip. As you can see, this is an example of a point-to-point run because the train goes someplace to the east and then returns to the west, all thanks to the staging yard. There, wasn't that fun? Well, now I urge you to go down to the comments section and vote for your favorite one. I look forward to seeing which video is the big winner, and I will announce the winner in Dispatch this coming Tuesday night. But the fun isn't ending now. You can click over here to watch more videos. I'm Roy Smith. Until next time, happy railroading.